Colleen Mercer, third delivery of the day. Sun's sharp, streets quiet. Until a man in a red MAGA hat steps forward, sleeveless denim, veins showing. His hand stops inches from her face. You people don't belong here. I've seen that move before. They never expect what comes next. The street hears it. No one speaks. Colleen doesn't flinch, doesn't blink. She just looks, not at his eyes, but at his wrist. It still hangs midair. Someone behind raises a phone. No one stops him. No one's laughing anymore, and everyone feels it. This isn't over. Not by a mile. She used to be Delta Force, third tour, forward recon, sniper designation. Now she delivers lunch specials on a red bike with squeaky gears. Not because she failed, not because she ran, but because her aunt, Mara Mercer, passed 2 months ago in that same yellow kitchen. Heart stopped while slicing lemons. No one found her till morning. Mara never married, no kids, only Colleen. And all she left behind was the diner, a box of land deeds, and a town that used to have her name on the street signs. Before the HOA came, before the bylaws changed, before Mercer Lane became Harmony Trail and Lot 17 got subdivided into 6 condos with security cameras pointed inward, Colleen came back. No banners, no funeral. Just slipped through the morning fog, parked her bag under the prep counter, and told Linda to stop cutting the brisket too thin. She didn't say why she was back, didn't need to. Some people thought she was broke, some thought she needed time. Only 2 people guessed right. One was buried, and the other wore a MAGA hat. That man shouting, he wasn't yelling at a delivery girl. He was barking at a Mercer, on Mercer wheels, carrying Mercer food. And she'd already counted every camera on that block. Not for security, for witness angles. The bike still had her aunt's keychain, a dented brass tag, Lot 17, Mercer Line, worn smooth by 40 years of keys, tucked next to a tiny red-handled Allen wrench no one ever noticed, except Colleen. Behind the register, there's a photo. Mara, young, hair up in a red scarf, apron with hand-stitched letters, "Home is a place you defend." Colleen never framed it, never dusted it, but every time she left for a run, she looked at that photo. Twice. Once before grabbing the bag, once before closing the door. She didn't come back to smile. She didn't come back to argue. She came back because someone had started pretending Mercer property was theirs to control, and Colleen knew the rules. All of them, especially the ones not written down. Monday morning, first delivery ran late. Traffic on Elm backed up behind a school bus and a broken hydrant. Colleen cut through Block E, the only stretch of street where the old street sign, Mercer Lane, still clung to the metal pole, bent, faded, still there. She coasted to a stop and saw it. A paper, cream-colored, laminated, taped to the bike rack. Firm corners, no fluttering. Someone pressed it down with care. She didn't need to read it to know, but she did. HOA warning, vehicle parked in non-designated zone. Delivery routing not pre-authorized under local HOA Ordinance 17.4C. This is your first notice. Further infractions will be documented. No name, no phone. Just a final line in bold italics. Approved by HOA Standards Division. She didn't rip it, didn't crumple, just folded it, once, then again, into thirds. Slid it into the back pocket of her red windbreaker. Turned back toward the bike. Then paused. There was a shadow across the pavement, not hers. A woman stood across the cul-de-sac. Red pantsuit. Clipboard in hand. Hair blonde, tight, coiled like a campaign speech. Sunglasses. Though the sky was overcast, she didn't wave, didn't nod, just pivoted on one heel and walked. The neighbors didn't stare, they adjusted. A man watering his petunias suddenly remembered he had somewhere else to be. A woman in a robe pulled her kid inside like she'd just heard thunder. One porch over, a voice muttered behind a wicker chair, "Linda's on the hunt again." Another replied, lower, "Just let her pass." Colleen didn't speak, didn't chase, but her jaw moved slightly, left to right. Once. A curtain shifted upstairs in one window, then dropped shut. The paper still stuck faintly to her glove, the adhesive tugging skin. Someone had printed that thing on thick stock, not office paper, designer grade. Like it mattered more than truth. That was the thing about people like Linda. They never swung first. They just typed and trusted no one would bother reading past line 3. Sometimes silence speaks louder than a protest sign. We've all been there. Watching someone cross a line they think you won't defend. If this story struck something in you, consider subscribing. We tell these not to shout, but to show that smart retaliation still has a place. Colleen didn't push back, not out loud, not yet. She still rode the same route, same time, same shoes, same tank top. But now, there was something different. A small black GoPro, mounted under the delivery crate, facing backward, blinking red. Always on. Most folks didn't notice, except one. You're still trespassing, you know that? The man with the MAGA hat. Same sleeveless denim, same beer can. Standing by his open garage like it was a checkpoint. Colleen didn't flinch, didn't answer, just glanced once at the camera, then pedaled off. The next morning, she stopped at Block C. Sun sharp on the pavement, a man walked toward her. Thick forearms, beard, biker vest, stitched with Forest Patriots. No badge, just confidence. "Ma'am, need to see your delivery permit." She reached into the food bag, pulled out a small brown envelope. No words, just handed it to him. He didn't open it, didn't ask, just held it like it might be something legal, or worse. Then he stepped back, and she wrote on. What was in the envelope? Colleen knew. He didn't need to. Behind her, the GoPro kept rolling, captured everything. The biker's hesitation, the subtle shift in his stance, the way he glanced, once, toward the garden next door. Karen was there, watering her roses in a full red suit, pretending not to notice. But someone in the group nodded at her. She nodded back. They thought she was coordinating. She thought no one was watching. They were both wrong. Friday evening. The HOA's weekend barbecue was already underway. Plastic flags, paper plates, name tags, fake smiles. Colleen didn't stop. She pedaled past slow, staying on the edge of the road. The delivery wasn't even for that block, but the timing was perfect. She reached the end of the street, and behind her, a voice broke through the grill smoke. "She's filming minors without consent. That's a crime in this state." The man in the MAGA hat was no longer calm. He stormed out from the crowd, waving a crumpled letter, a printed screenshot from her GoPro footage, grease-stained, highlighted, bent at the corner. He crossed the sidewalk line, stepped over the HOA-issued property markers, and walked right up to Colleen's front hedges. Karen stood back, arms folded. Her voice dropped low, but just enough for the nearby ears to catch. "We warned her. She just doesn't listen." Colleen didn't respond. She never does when it's exactly what she expected. She watched, then turned away. The next day, 3:42 p.m., the neighborhood inbox lit up. Subject line, delivery complaint, attached HOA guidelines VERA 3. From Harold B. Weathers, HOA advisor, Rhett. No accusations, no opinions. Just one line, attached for review per yesterday's incident. The attachment? A scanned image of the HOA delivery bylaws, circa 1996, and a still photo taken from a backyard camera angled toward Colleen's property. In the image, MAGA man, mid-scream, Colleen, back straight, hands at her sides, and in the lower left corner, partly hidden by a chair, a toddler, holding a balloon, watching it all unfold. Nobody replied to the email, but something shifted. At 4:09, Karen's name was removed from the Neighborhood Safety Committee group chat. By 5:30, someone turned the printed email into a flyer, and by dusk, it was taped to the HOA clubhouse door. Monday morning, no warning, no agenda. Just a last-minute HOA emergency meeting. Printed notice slapped on Colleen's front door. Security violation, role clarification requested. The room is packed. Karen is seated in the middle, spine straight, blazer crisp. Next to her, the man in the MAGA hat, now wearing a button-down, sleeves rolled. Trying to look official. One by one, committee members read statements, phrases like community cohesion, and unauthorized surveillance. Then Denim Man steps up, holding a binder. Section 8.4 of the new addendum. No surveillance near communal spaces without board consent. She filmed us. That's a violation? He slaps the binder shut, lets it land heavy on the table. The smirk is already forming. Karen leans in, voice level. Colleen, do you have anything to say before we proceed? Colleen doesn't look at her. She doesn't look at anyone. She reaches into her delivery bag, pulls out a slim red folder. No drama, no build-up, just calm. Inside, copies of the 2017 Charter, HOA version 2, title stamped, verified, still active under the transitional clause, signed by Raymond Ellis, the original HOA founder. She places it on the table. Then a second paper, an email, subject line, notification of overreach, evidence from March 9th. CC, full board, digital signature, Harold B. Weathers. The quiet old man from the barbecue. Karen blinks. One hand reaches toward the folder, but Colleen places one final sheet on top. A photo. Full color, dated and time-stamped. The MAGA man, screaming, hand raised over Colleen's fence. And beside him, barely visible behind the hedge, a neighbor's little girl, hands over her ears, tears on her face. The room stills. Karen stares at the photo, then down at the table. Colleen's voice cuts through, low and steady. I deliver food, not surveillance, but sometimes. The camera sees what the law forgot. No one claps, no one argues. But two board members shift in their seats. One clears his throat and says quietly, "We need to review this before any action." By the time the meeting adjourns, the power in the room had already moved, and Colleen never raised her voice. 3 days later. The neighborhood chat stays quiet. No questions, no follow-ups, just silence. Like a hallway after someone slams a door. Colleen rides the same route, same red jacket, same insulated bag, just a little more faded now. The bike chain squeaks once as she turns into Block C. She slows in front of a house that used to have a warning sign. The post is still there, but the sign's gone. Only 2 small holes remain in the wood, raw, unpainted. She reaches into the delivery bag, pulls out a brown paper sack. No label, no note. She walks it to the porch, taps on the door, once, twice, 3 times, then turns back toward the street. The door opens. A girl, the same one from the photo, peers out, still hesitant, but not hiding. Their eyes don't meet for long. Colleen gives a faint nod, barely there. The child holds the door without speaking. Colleen steps on the pedal, the bike creaks again. She turns the corner at the intersection. Across the street, a man leans against a light pole, one of the bystanders from the HOA meeting, the one who never picked a side, never spoke up. He sees her, doesn't wave, doesn't smile, just a slow nod, like putting a stone back where it belongs. No victory march, no headline. But something had shifted. The signs are gone, the cameras are down, and the street, for once, just feels quiet. Not everyone fights to win. Some just want no one to touch what they've guarded too long. Some mornings don't feel like victory. They just feel quiet. The kind of quiet where sprinklers hum, where wind presses soft against screen doors, where no one talks about last week. The bike was still red, still squeaked on the left pedal, still carried the weight of more than food. No one apologized, no one had to. But lawn chairs got rearranged. Kids stayed out longer. The man by the mailbox waved, twice. She didn't wave back, but she nodded, once. Inside her delivery pouch, beside the napkins and receipt tape, was a brass keychain, worn, heavy, engraved with a number almost no one remembered. Lot 17, Mercer Line. It had been passed down, pocket to pocket, silent to loud, loud to gone, and now it stayed with her, not to prove anything, not to protect, just to remind her. That land doesn't belong to noise. It belongs to those who last longer than anger, the ones who hold the line, when others forget there was one. She didn't need to raise her voice. She just had to outlast the shouting, because some people don't return to win. They return to anchor what shouldn't be moved. There are places you don't fight to own. You fight so no one forgets. It mattered.